It's a long and cold night where a lonely tree stood in the middle of a field. 6 cloaked figures walked towards it, their leader pulling out a dagger, and then throwing the dagger with her magic right into the tree bark. Slowly, the lead figure removes her hood, revealing the face of Trixie Lilymoon, followed by Carrot Top, Lyra, Raindrops, Cheerilee, and Ditsy Doo. Trixie has a smirk on her face as she tilts her hat, looking towards you. We're back! The Lunaverse. Tales of the Lunaverse. Episode 2. In the Heat of the Moment by RainbowDoubleDash. Welcome back, girls. Chapter 1. Awkward.
Oh, this is the life!
Trixie proclaimed as Ella ran her tender hose across the unicorn's back, working the tension from her muscles and joints until nothing but pure bliss remained. A glance at Trixie's left found that Carrot Top was similarly relaxed under Lois's hose, her head resting on folded front legs. Trixie preferred a lighter, gentler massage, while Carrot Top's massages were always more aggressive. The everypony farmer tended to work up significant aches and pains in her muscles while plying her trade.
So glad,
Carrot Top said, her voice vibrating as Lois slightly pummeled her back.
every farmer should have to come here. Looks so much better after.
Ella and Lois both gasped a little, bright smiles appearing on her face at the thought of increased business. As the hell occurs Carrot Top's line of thinking, the two redoubled their massage efforts. Trixie shifted under Ella's hose, letting her eyes flare closed as she simply focused on the massage. She breathed, flicking her tail a few times, leaning into the hose.
A little lower. I spent a lot of time sitting, pain in the croup.
Ella's hose complied. Trixie breathed out another moan of appreciation. It was so easy to just forget everything when being tended to expertly, to let one's worries disappear. The only problem was that the heat from the sauna hadn't gone away yet. It always seemed like it was building up. Now Ella's hose across her croup, seemed almost to be coaxing the heat, coming around inside her. But far from being uncomfortable, it felt good.
Oh,
Trixie breathed out softly, once more stretching in order to move herself into Ella's hose. With her eyes closed, and Sarah so distracted, she couldn't see that Carrot Top was looking at her strangely, a look of mixed worry and embarrassment on her face.
oh yes, right there, right.
The heat was mounting, building, heading towards a long overdue climax as Ella's hose moved lower, as she tension building, tension lower. Naturally, realization of exactly what was happening reached Trixie as the tension finally snapped.
Ah! No! I'm in heat!
My little pony, ah, my little pony,
The red ship never meant that much to me,
my little pony.
but you're all here now. I can see stormy weather, a lots to share, a musical bond with loving care, teaching laughter. It's an easy feat, and magic makes it all complete. You have my little ponies. How did I ever make so many true friends?
You're watching the Lunaverse, only on the Hub. Presented by RainbowDoubleDash. Created by Hasbro. Sponsored by Krypton Lights. They're not for Krypton, but good golly are they bright. Read by Martial Art Fruit User. Needless to say, Trixie was in a panic as she threw herself off the massage table and onto the floor, breathing heavily as she did. She meant to land on all 4 hoses, but her hindquarters were a bit busy, weren't up to sudden movements or demands from her brain at the moment, and her emerging from a state of total bliss. As a result, she ended sitting on her haunches, breathing heavily and sweating even as a war took place in her body. Her brain demanding to move, and her nethers demanding her to stay put and enjoy herself. Her brain went out eventually as Trixie stood on shaking hose, trying very hard to ignore her surroundings and the three earth ponies staring at her, and even harder to ignore the already returning heat filling up her body.
I gotta go,
She said, stumbling forward so she could host.
I gotta. Wait, Miss Trixie,
Aloe said. Trixie froze, grimacing as he glanced behind her at the pony she just essentially tricked it to. Aloe was wiping off her hose with a towel as he regarded the unicorn.
We charge a little more for our deluxe service, she said. I'll have to ask you to join me as your friend counter.
Trixie's jaw dropped.
What?
She demanded.
But I didn't want to. Didn't mean to. You are perhaps familiar with the idea of you break it, you bought it? This is a similar situation.
Lois answered for her situation. Desi frowned.
Actually, if breaking was involved, we have a little discount. First time and all that.
Trixie eeped.
No breaking. I don't think there was even a go. Fine, I'll pay whatever you want.
Trixie dashed out front, and Aloe followed, smiling wryly and giggling slightly at the unicorn's antics. Leaving Carrot Top and Lotus alone in the massage parlor. After a few moments of silence, Carrot Top looked at Lotus, one eyebrow raised.
How much more for the deluxe?
She asked. Several moments later, Trixie was joined by Carrot Top, just as the unicorn finished paying her extra fee, which apparently included additional charge due to being the spur of the moment, rather than worked out ahead of time. Carrot Top was frowning, muttering something about her finances as he looked at Trixie. Trixie couldn't look Carrot Top in the eye as she shifted from hoof to hoof, waiting for Aloe to finish counting out her bits. She had retrieved her cape and hat from the stand near the front door, was using the ladder to keep her face hid.
I'm sorry, Carrot Top, she said at length. I am so sorry. It's snuck up on me again this year. So embarrassing.
Carrot Top offered a slight smile.
It's okay, Trixie. It happens,
she said, putting her hoof to her mouth and giggling softly.
In fact, this one time in school I was... Gah! I don't want to hear!
Trixie exclaimed, pressing her hose to her ears. Carrot Top blinked.
Okay, you're from New Orleans, right? I never took you for a prude.
Trixie cleared up at Carrot Top.
It's gross! What, mares? Yes, in stallions, and everything about sex.
Hello, Aloe said, looking at her from her carrying beings.
What do you mean, gross? Sex is a beautiful and natural process. Two ponies coming together so intimately, sharing their bodies.
She raised one eyebrow.
Or more than two. Oh, you should see the parties that my sister and I sometimes throw here. In fact, we are having a lock-in next week. We already have 12 ponies. Keep the chains!
Trixie exclaimed, dashing from the spa as fast as her hose could carry her. Carrot Top watched her go, sighing and shaking her head. After a few moments, she looked at Aloe, one eyebrow raised.
Lock-in, huh?
She asked. Trixie galloped as fast as her hose could carry her through the streets of Ponyville, trying and failing to ignore the heat that was once mounting in her loins. Even worse, she was sweating, and sweating meant she was releasing pheromones in the air. Every stallion and mare that turned to look at her. Were they seeing a crazy mare running by, or were they smelling her treacherous body, trying to convince her that she was open for business?
I'm not open for business!
She shouted before she could stop herself as she rounded the corner. Her ran smacked into Lyra and Bonbon. There was confusion and pain for several moments as the three worked to disentangle themselves from each other.
Trixie!
Lyra exclaimed when she was finally free and helping Bonbon to her hose.
Jeez, what has you in a panic? Nothing!
Trixie exclaimed, shifting around a few times.
I gotta go!
She resumed running. Bonbon looked at Lyra in confusion.
That mare,
she said, shaking her head. She... Of course, then Bonbon and Lyra breathed in through their noses, and they caught a whiff of what was in the air, hovering, inviting, leaving a trail the way Trixie had just run off. Bonbon? Lyra asked, nostrils flaring a little. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Bonbon tapped her front hose together.
Oh, yes.
Meanwhile, Trixie had finally made it to her residency and dashed inside, closing the door securely behind her, pacing back and forth for a few minutes. Trixie dashed over into her office. closing the blinds and then grabbing an inkwell, pen, and parchment, quickly writing down a note.
Dear Princess Luna, I regret to inform you that due to the circumstances beyond my control, I will be unable to serve as the representative of your night court for the next week or so. And further, that the registry itself will be unfit to serve as the official office of your night court. I apologize for the inconvenience. Trixie.
Trixie took off her hat and tossed the parchment inside without waiting for the ink to dry. She entered the magic words that would send it to the princess's office. That matter having been taken care of, she sat her hat down on her desk and turned around, letting out a cry of fright as it invaded into her privacy.
Ah!
Hey! Pokey Pierce asked. Her secretary Daryl helped her blink a few times. You feeling all right? Trixie swallowed and opened her mouth, when there was almost a ping from inside her. It occurred to her that she'd never really taken Pokey into account before. He was tall and thin, but not lanky by any means. No, his muscles were actually quite well developed. Clearly the result of Pony ran several laps around town every morning to stay in shape. His coat shined, it was well taken care of, and his wavy mane looked quite inviting. And then there was his horn, his magnificent horn, easily a third again the length it was supposed to be, considering his height and extremely sharp to a point. An excellent focus for magic and Trixie grinned as she made her way to Pokey's desk, sitting down in front of it.
Everything's fine,
she said, propping her chin on her front hooves.
How are you?
Pokey blinked a few times. Just fine, he said. Certain you still be at the spa? Trixie smiled, flaring her eyes as her tail switched on constantly behind her.
Oh, had to go home early,
she said, standing and making her way over to Pokey. He watched her approach, nostrils flaring when Trixie was close enough, and he finally caught the scent. And Trixie saw a war begin inside him. A chemical war. A war that his brain was swiftly losing as Trixie leaned in close, burying her muzzle at the crook of his neck.
I think that I don't appreciate you enough, Pokey.
Pokey stared at his boss, raising one eyebrow as he swayed a hoof in front of his nose. A boss? Trixie muzzling moved from the crook of Pokey's neck to his chest.
Yes?
She purred. Pokey's hose were on her shoulder. He pushed away, looking at her with surprised eyes. I'm gay, he stated. Trixie blinked a few times. A shiver passed through her body as she realized what she'd been doing.
Oh, no,
she cried, moving backwards and over to her desk, hiding behind it.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
I mean, not that I don't appreciate the compliment, but... Trixie poked out from her desk.
So sorry.
Pokey considered as he put a huff in front of his muzzle. So it smells like you're in heat then, Trixie whimpered. And I'm gathering I can go home early.
Trixie nodded. I'll still pay you for the week, she said. But don't show up until I send for you, okay?
Okay, I'll just leave you to it then. Have fun. Trixie whimpered again. But Pokey didn't notice. He probably thought that Trixie's antics were from her embarrassment coming onto him, rather than born how much she hated being in heat. Not that she wasn't embarrassed. There was a small flash of light from Trixie's hat. Trixie retrieved it, taking out a note from Princess Luna and reading it.
Dear Trixie,
did your heat sneak up on you again? Trixie frowned, writing out a quick response on the same piece of parchment.
Dear Princess Luna, yes, I don't get it. It's not fair. Everybody else practically sets their watches to their heats, while my biological clock was built by diamond dogs.
She sent the message off, retrieved the response within a minute.
Dear Trixie, you're still young. It could take several years after reaching full adulthood with some mares before their heat cycles become regular. Now, Trixie, I respect your feelings on the matter, and while I feel that most of your problems with your heat would go away if you simply found a decent mare or stallion, I can hardly order you to do that against your wishes. Having said that, at the risk of being crass, there are numerous techniques a mare may perform by herself to help relieve her heat. Make use of them. The governors of Equestria simply cannot stop because a single mare is afraid of her own body.
Trixie stared wide-eyed at what was, no matter how one decided to approach the issue, an official royal decree for her to masturbate.
Trixie swears you give a thumbs up for this scene, and Trixie will see you hanged!
Not doing it.
Dear Princess Luna, no, I refuse. It's gross. I'm not doing it. Ponyville is just going to have to deal with being out of contact with the Night Court for the next week.
With that, the response was almost instant. Luna had anticipated Trixie's declaration and prepared a reply. Trixie, it's simple. If you're not working, I won't pay you. For the month. Trixie considered a few moments, but only for a few moments.
Dear Princess Luna, terms accepted.
On a side note, for those of you who read Fall Starfleet, much like the Trixie in this story, my Trixie is completely asexual in that universe. She has no desire to start dating any of her friends or start dating Spark. But if you guys are so inclined, if you want to make any side fics where Trixie suddenly decides she wants to date Spark, or suddenly gets a craving for a little pinky, be my guest. I'm not one to stifle creativity. I'm just saying that is Trixie's sexuality in this fic. An unexpected arrival and exit. Chapter 2. Trixie debated after sending off the note for a response. Resolved instead to open the door to her desk and stuff her head inside. Just as she closed it, she thought she saw a flash, but decided to ignore it. Linda would be angry with her, but it was totally worth it. She just done her grocery shopping the day before last. She had more than enough food to last a week sealed up inside her home. All she had to do was make a sign saying the residency of the representative of the Night Court of Luna was closed for business for a week. An underline closed for business. Twice. Naturally, she had just finished making the sign and found a nail to stick it to her door, with her front door open, and two mares walked in. Lyra Heartstrings, the element of loyalty, and Bonbon, Candy Mare. The two of them had been best friends all their lives, and a couple pretty much since they'd been fully old enough to understand the concept. They also had a vigorously active sex life, as Trixie had, accidentally, discovered on her third night in Ponyville, when finding herself outside Bonbon's front door and hearing things. Memories of what she heard still haunted her sometimes. The words spoken, the moaning, the panting, quick breaths, gasps of air, cries of exhalation, and sheer bliss as Lyra's delicate tongue traced its way down Bonbon's. Lyra waved a hoof in front of Trixie's face. Hey, she said, frowning. You still alive in there? Trixie blinked. She realized she had been drooling, and used whatever it was in her hoof to wipe her mouth. She realized, only belatedly, it was the sign she had been intending to nail her door.
What?
She asked, complete with a piece of parchment, turning around to head back to her desk and make another.
Now's not a good time.
Lyra looked at Bonbon, looked back for a few moments before turning to look at Trixie. You're in heat. Trixie's eyes narrowed.
Oh, really? She asked. I hadn't noticed.
Well, Lyra said, you know the best way to relieve heat, right? Trixie stiffened, then turned around. Somehow, without her noticing, though admittedly, her senses weren't at their best right now, Bonbon had crept along one side of her, and Lyra on the other. Both mares were very close. Had this been a few hours ago, they would have been uncomfortably close. But at the moment, all Trixie could feel was their warm body heat, their breaths.
Cold baths?
Trixie breathed.
Those help,
Bonbon said. For some reason, her voice was a normal speaking one, even as she leaned in close to Trixie, rubbing her muscle against Trixie's neck. Trixie shivered.
And rubicate,
Trixie said, feeling herself leaning in as Lyra close, her mouth gently closing around one of Trixie's ears, nibbling softly, ever so softly.
It's this new stuff. Tried it last year. Where wonders, but expensive.
Bonbon's nuzzling moved towards Trixie's chest.
There's the old marble trick,
Lyra said. Like Bonbon,
She was somehow maintaining a normal speaking voice.
Virgin, don't want to put anything, rumigate.
Never heard of Rumigate, but I don't think the apocryphy is going to carry it. Not many mares like to suppress heat, least of all in a country town like Ponyville.
Ugh.
Bonbon's muzzle was moving lower. Lyra's nibbling mouth led to her ear and moved to her cheek, while Lyra's hose keened up and turned Trixie to face her own. Look, Trixie, she said, again with a normal speaking voice, as he planted butterfly kisses on Trixie's muzzle. Trixie's eyes fluttered close as she accepted them. I'll get right to the point. The best way to relieve heat is to, well, indulge it. I know how you normally feel about sex. Trixie gasped. Bonbon's tongue had taken a slight detour along her right foreleg, and was now within inches of. Could feel her breath on. But I really think it's best if you just, well, went with it. It'd be easier, more enjoyable, and you wouldn't have to suffer. In me and Lyra, Bonbon said. Her mouth was thankfully moving back up her leg again, only to return to her chest. Start down her barrel again. We promised we'd keep everything private. So, Lyra said, leaning up, tongue sneaking out and tracing up Trixie's horn. What do you say? Trixie shivered, and then noticed a lack of feeling of other ponies on top of her, doing things. Her eyes fluttered low open, and she saw Lyra and Bonbon, standing close, but not best of Princess of Pinkie Pie close. They didn't look like they moved at all. Trixie blinked. She looked down at herself, touching a hoof to her chest and barrel. There was no sign that any pony had been doing things there, and her ear was similarly free of any real sign. Has he really just hallucinated the two of them assaulting her? Trixie shivered, glancing at Lyra and Bonbon.
No,
she said firmly. Lyra and Bonbon both sighed as one. Okay, Bonbon moaned. It's your choice. Trixie turned around, shivering a little, even as he went to her desk drawer and opened it, pulling out a bag of 40 bits, and turning back around, pointedly ignoring her hat, and whether or not there was a note sticking out of it.
Could one of you do me a favor and see if the apothecary does carry rumigate, just in case?
A golden glow wrapped around the bag of bits. Lyra telekinesis, but the other unicorn only moved the bag back into Trixie's desk. No problem, she said, waving a hoof at the thought of Trixie peeing. Just get over this quickly, okay? We're gonna want our friend back as soon as possible. Trixie whimpered lightly. Lyra cautiously placed a hoof on Trixie's withers, giving her a quick pat before she and her mare friend turned and left the residency. As one, the two sighed again. Though now they were out of sight, they let their disappointment show more. Stars above, Lyra moaned. We're never going to get to have a threesome. There was a peal of thunder, a flash of multi-hued lightning, and a silent blur that kicked up a light dust cloud when it landed with a thud in front of the two mares. When it cleared, the two saw a blue-coated, rainbow-maned Pegasus with wide eyes, a wide grin, and fully flared wings.
I heard threesome,
RainbowDoubleDash noted. Lyra and Bonbon looked the Pegasus up and down, considered what they knew of the athletic weather captain, then let wide grins split their features, especially once they considered that, with RainbowDoubleDash, they have a pony from each tribe involved. My place, 1 hour, Bonbon declared. No, Dash, don't do it! It's a trap! You'll never survive! You'll never get out there! Run, Dash, run!
And Trixie wonders how you would know.
I wouldn't. I've just heard rumors. I mean, Lyra and Bonbon's house is right across from mine, okay? Trixie managed to get the note up her door without further incident, and held out for 15 minutes until Lyra and Bonbon, looking far too ecstatic for reasons they didn't explain, returned and informed her regretfully that, indeed, the apothecary didn't carry Rumigate. Trixie hadn't really expected it to, but was still yet another piece of bad news on what was shaping up to be the first day of a long week.
Oh, it does exist.
That was good to know. She rushed upstairs after they left, drawing a freezing cold bath as quickly as she could, practically diving in, not caring about the water as she splashed into her bathroom floor. Instant relief. Also, probably instant hypothermia.
Trixie yelped at the cold. Her teeth were chattering in moments. She climbed out quickly, drained the cold water, and resolving to have a lukewarm bath rather than a cold one. Nevertheless, she was smiling a little. The cold water, or shock to her system, or whatever, had all but dispelled the heat in her nethers. The equivalent of her brain ordering a mega spell bomb barrage on her rebellious hindquarters. Hey, no follow equestrian references! Her hormones were already regrouping, of course, but they were completely disorganized and scattered, unable to mount any sort of resistance, and her bathtub slowly began filling up, preparing for a second strike. There was a lever door hued pop! And quite suddenly, Trixie found herself not alone in her bathroom. Trixie Lunamoon! A high, bedraggled voice cried as Trixie shrieked in surprise at the invasion of her privacy. This time an actual invasion, too, rather than Trixie simply forgot about Pokey being in her office. The mare that arrived was a purple-coated, black mane, though her mane had a purple-pink stripe in them. She was wearing a brown coat, or potato sack, Trixie couldn't tell, and had a cutie mark of a 6-pointed star surrounded by other stars.
Twilight Sparkle?
Trixie demanded. Twilight had a shaking hoof pointing at Trixie. I am here to expose you, she shouted. Trixie blushed. Twilight didn't seem to notice. You are a fraud, she continued, nostrils flaring. You don't deserve to be the element of magic. You squandered Princess Luna's teachings, and I spent the last few months building a case to prove this and to gather my own. Twilight paused, sniffing the air. After a moment, she began coughing, leaving a hoof in front of her nose.
What is that smell?
This is me.
Not surprised you don't recognize it.
Trixie deadpanned, eyes half lidded as she did. Twilight stared blankly at Trixie for several long moments, before her eyes widened even as her pupils shrank.
Oh!
The renegade sorceress exclaimed.
Oh! Yeah! Bad time? Yes!
Twilight stared awkwardly for a few moments more, scuffing a hoof on the floor. She said softly.
It's not like... I mean, it took me a few moments, but it's not like I'm not interested just because I read a lot. I mean, well, actually, now that you think about it, you haven't squandered the teachings.
Oh, you're a wonderful illusionist. Trixie's eyes widened.
No! Okay,
Twilight jetted, raising her defensively.
I'll just, leave you, I guess.
You do that! Twilight's horn glowed as she disappeared in a flash, in a pop. Trixie stared at her bath and began hitting the faucet with her hose.
Fill faster! Fill faster! Fill faster!
She hit the faucet too hard and it snapped. Instantly, water began spraying from her wall and into the bath in great torrents, filling it quickly. It began to spill over to the side. Trixie sighed. The first day of a very, very long week. Yeah, folks, before I actually begin the real season premiere, let's have a little fun with our 6th mayor, Sally.
No, Trixie can't believe this is going to be happening.
Oh, back from a vacation, the boss is already messing with our heads.
Well, could be worse. We could be on the main show.
Thank goodness. Well, you girls enjoy. I'm going to have fun messing with you 6.
He is the devil.